Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ellis Park here on Saturday. It's the 1st of July, 2023. It's Stephen Foster Handicap Day, or Stakes Day, from Ellis, and I'm going to look at the Stephen Foster and all the other stakes races on the program. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it, around the world. Some excellent races here on the East Coast. If you start from 7 o'clock in the morning, if you start with the UK races all the way until 11 o'clock at night, to the races from the Meadowlands. It's just an all-around good day of racing. So just sit in front of the TV all day. It's what I'm going to do. I think probably not, but you never know. We're going to look at the stakes action from Ellis today. Races 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Let's get to it right now. The third race from Ellis. It's the American Derby. It's going for a purse $225,000. Race for 3-year-olds here. Field of 6 horses going 1,700 meters or a mile and 1/16 on the Ellis turf course. A lot of rain Thursday and Friday, so the course might have some give in it, so just keep that in mind. Also, the rails will be down, I believe, for the first time all season at Ellis, so you might want to keep that in mind. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 2-horse Wadsworth. 2-1-5-4 for me in the superfecta. 2-1-5-4 super, top selection 2-horse Wadsworth. His 3-year-old gelding by Quality Road. Brad Cox trains. Florent Giroux gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 17th of May at Indiana, 1 mile the Caesars Handicap Stakes. And the horseman is second by a nose that day, and he sat back early. He was stupidly wide, but he was gaining late. I didn't think that was a half-bad run at all. Coming here to a little tougher quality horses, but could sit a little closer if he wants, or come off a little bit of the pace. I think he could run a good race and win today. His buyers are definitely up to scratch to win against these horses. Two back, he ran the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway, mile and eighth on the 25th of March. And he finished fourth by 10 1/4 lengths that day. And he just kind of stalked. He needed something more late, but he ran his heart out against some very tough horses. The last 2 Jeff Ruby Stakes have been very nicely run races. Maybe in the next few years it might be a grade 2 or something like that, because that's the way it's going. 2 back, the horse ran, 3 back, the horse ran the 11th of February at Turfway, 1 mile and option 50 claimer, and he won by 2 1/4 lengths from a tracking trip mid-pack. Horrible beginning, but he quickened up nicely, and he got away with it. A very good run there. And then on New Year's Eve at Turfway, a mile and a main special weight, he won by 10 and basically on the front end all throughout. When you go 111 and 4 3/4, you're basically going to win, and he did just that. A very, very good run. He's training well on the turf course at Churchill. Coming here today, I think he's loaded. The 1-horse Mustache, it wouldn't surprise me if this horse steals it on the front end. Most recently in American Turf at Churchill Derby weekend, the horse finished fourth by 1 1/4 lengths, and he got caught late by Webb Slinger, who was a next start winner. Major Dude, who finished third, was a next start winner also. This horse, he just couldn't keep up late. The closers got to him, but won the Transylvania on the front end quite nicely at Keeneland before that, and had a decent second in the Columbia Stakes at Tampa. Coming back here to Ellis, where he broke his maiden last summer, he could definitely win. I would use him in the pick 4. But to recount my selection for the third from Ellis, it's the American Derby. Gonna take the 2-horse Wadsworth. Give kudos to the 1-horse Mustache. 2-1-5-4 super. 2-1 in your multi-race. Let's head over to race number 6 now from Ellis, the 6th race. It is the Kelly's Landing Stakes. It's going for a purse of $225,000. Race for 3-year-olds and upwards. 7 horses are going 1,300 meters or 6.5 furlongs on the Ellis dirt course. I'm going to take the 2-horse Bango as a top selection. 2-5-3-7 for me in the superfecta. 2-5-3-7 super. Top selection 2-horse Bango. This 6-year-old horse by Congrats. Greg Foley trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3rd of June at Churchill. 6 furlongs in our Society Stakes. And the horse finished second by 1 3/4 lengths that day. And he stalked. He had the lead. He got caught late by Ganite, who had the jump on this horse. But this horse, he ran his heart out. Came home with a career best 105 buyer. Coming here to the P patch, where he ran okay in spots, then crap in other spots. I'm going to give him another shot to get a good race today, but his form as recently has been done very nicely. 2 back in the St. Matthews at Churchill, 6 furlongs 4th of May. He won by 5, and on the front end almost all throughout. He quickened up nicely and could have, won by another half a dozen, it seemed, but he was geared down late. That was an all-around good race off the bench. And then the Kerner Memorial at Fairgrounds, 5.5 on the 21st of January, He finished second by a length. He was vying on the front end that day, and he just couldn't get the good turn of foot. Maybe something would have missed because you didn't see the horse for 4 months afterwards. And then the Schaefer Memorial at the Fairgrounds on Boxing Day, 6 furlongs. He finished second by 2 lengths that day, and he just couldn't quicken up late. But his format, like I said, as of recently, hasn't been half bad at all. Coming here, he could definitely win. The 5-horse Ellis for Joel Rosario and Steve Asmussen wouldn't surprise me if this horse upsets at 6-1. Hasn't been seen since late November, where the horse ran at Churchill, 7 furlongs and optional 80, where the horse won by 1 3/4 lengths. It was a little bit wide, but from a tracking trip, he took off clear. Prior to that, an allowance race at Keeneland going 6.5 on Breeders' Cup weekend, he won by a half a length that day. And again, he basically, from driving front end trip, he took off clear again. He's been wide his last 2 races, not as wide today, but still wide. He could win. He has some speed. He might need the race off the bench, but I'll use him as a play on the pick 4. He's very interesting in this spot. But to recount my selection for the 6 from Ellis, it is the Kelly's Landing. Going to take the 2-horse Bango. Give kudos to the 5-horse Marsalis. 2-5-3-7 Super. 2-5 in your multi-race. Let's head over to race number 8 now from Ellis, the beginning of the late pick 4. The 8th race, it is the Fleur De Lis Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $400,000 purse race for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 8 horses taking a lap around the Pea Patch main track, the distance of ground of 1,800 meters, or 1 1/8 on the Ellis main track. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 5-horse Pauline's Pearl, 5-6-3-1 in the superfecta for me. 5-6-3-1 Super. Top selection to 5-horse Pauline's Pearl. This 5-year-old mare by Tappet here. Steve Asmussen trains. Joel Rosario gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 5th of May at Churchill. Mile 16th in the Grade 1 La Trione. And the horse finished 6 by 7 lengths that day. Was stupidly wide that day. Never got, a good trip. Completely hit the wall late. It wasn't the day to win. I would like to see this horse sit a little closer. Her buyers could definitely win against these horses, but she's going to have to sit closer on this track to win. It's been a conveyor belt of speed the last few seasons going a mile and 8, especially this season at Ellis. You need to be towards the 1, 2, or 3 horses and going around the far turn, but if she shows some speed, she could definitely win here today. 2 back in the Beholder Mile at Santini over the mile. She finished 7 by 3 1/4 lengths that day. She was just wide and just never really showed up. I do think the trip was just a little bit too short for her there. But prior to them, the Sam Houston Ladies Classic at Sam Houston on the mud, mile 16th at the end of January, winning by 3/4 in length from a tracking trip. She won going away. That was a very exciting run. If she runs that race today, she can win. Her prior race was actually in last year's Fleur De Lis at Churchill on the 2nd of July over the mile and 8th, where she finished 3rd by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and she was a little bit wide that day. She needed something more, but she didn't run half bad. She was sent off as just over even favorite that day, so it was kind of interesting. She has hidden form. She's a Grade 1 winner. She won the La Trione last season quite nicely, but only found the winner's circle once since then. But she gets Rosario back on, who knows this horse a lot better than the other riders, and I think that's a plus. At 3-1, let's use this horse. I think your second likeliest winner here is the 6-horse Emo Rie for Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt. Most recently in the La Trione, the horse finished 4th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. Another horse was stupidly wide. She was gaining a little bit late, but she needed a better trip that day. Prior to then, the Beholder Mile at Santanito over the mile, she won by a head, and coming from mid-pack, she was a little bit wide, but she got the job done, grinding it out easily there. And then she won the Bayaco at Oaklawn quite nicely in February. Since coming to the new barn, she's really been improving. Coming here, a speed favoring track, she has some speed if she wants to use it also. I'll use her on the pick 4 ticket. But to recount my selection for the 8th from Ellis, it is the Fleur De Lis. Going to take the 5-horse Pauline's Pearl. Give kudos to the 6-horse Emo Rie. 5-6-3-1 Super. 5-6 in your multi-race. The 9th event now from Ellis. It is the Wise Dan Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $400,000 purse race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 10 horses going 1,700 meters, or 1 1/16 on the Ellis turf course. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 4-horse Get Smokin'. I'm going to go 4-8-3-6 in the superfecta. 4-8-3-6 Super. Top selection of 4-horse Get Smokin'. 6-year-old gelding by Get Stormy here. Mark Hasse trains. Ricardo Santana Jr. gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 3rd of June at Churchill, mile 16th in the Arlington Stakes, and the horse finished 2nd by a length that day. He set the pace that day. He got caught in the lane. It just wasn't his day to win. I think he just went a little bit too quick to that half. Refreshing here, hopefully slowing it down. I think the speed is what really is going to get him to the winner's circle today. He has hidden form that can win this race, but his form, 2 back was horrible in the opening verse at Churchill, 1 mile on the 4th of May. He finished 6 by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He was with him early on from Y poster. They tried getting good position with him, but I think that backfired late because he had nothing left in the tank for the final two. It wasn't his day to win there. And then seasonal reappearance at Goldstream, 7.5 and up 6-2, winning by a nose on the front end all throughout. He got the job done, but he had to dig in late to get the victor there. And then his final start of 2022 was in the Woodbine Mile at Woodbine, where he finished 10th by 19 1/4 lengths that day and just completely hit the wall. They were flying on the front end, which he just wasn't winning off of those fractions. 45 and 3 3/4 to a half. You're not going to win there. And then before that, in the 4-star Dave, he finished 4th by 2 3/4 lengths. Costa Creek caught him. This horse just wasn't keeping up with him there. But coming here off some decent runs as of recently, has some speed on the speed favoring course. I'll give him a shot on the ticket. I think the 8 horse here, Set Piece, is your second likeliest winner for the Florent Giroux and Brad Cox. Most recently in the Arlington Stakes, he won by length, closing up from nowhere. I thought that was a very good run, coming back with a 98 buyer, finally come back to his good winning ways. Prior to that, in the opening verse, he finished 3rd by 2 lengths that day and had a little bit of a tough trip. He was gaining that day, but he needed the better trip to win. And then last year's Seabiscuit handicap at Del Mar, he finished 6 by 4 lengths, never really having the trip. He won twice out of 7 offerings last year. He won the Baltimore Washington Turf Cup at Pimlico and won the dinner party at Pimlico. So he likes that Pimlico turf course, but coming here off a decent run last time out where he won, he has buyers definitely fast enough to win this race. I'll give him a shot at 4 to 5 in the pick 4. But to recap my selection for the 9th from Ellis now, it is the Wise Dan. Gonna take the 4 horse Get Smokin'. Give kudos to the 8 horse Set Piece. 4-8-3-6 Super. 4-8 in your multi race. The featured 10th race now from Ellis Park. It is the Stephen Foster Stakes. It's a Grade 1 event going for $1 million purse races for 4-year-olds and upwards. Field of 8 horses in the Foster going 1,800 meters or a mile and 1/8 on the Ellis main track. My top selection here, and before I get any further, I say there's they've been breaking a lot of track records here at Ellis. I've noticed the last few weeks on the dirt. I say this is a track record breaker. The track record, according to my racing forums, is 147 and 2. I think they could lower that mark today. But my top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 6 horse, West Willpower. I'm going to go 6-3-4-1 in the superfecta. 6-3-4-1 super. I would use all 4 of them in the pick 4 plus more. I would actually use 1 through 6 to tell you the truth in the pick 4 because any of those horses can win. If you could afford the all ticket, all this race, because it wouldn't surprise me if any one of these horses would win. But my top selection would be the 6 horse, West Willpower. 6-year-old horse by Bernardini. Brad Cox trains. Flavian Pratt gets the mount. Most recently now, Sheba at Churchill, mile 16th on the 5th of May. The horse finished 3rd by 3 3/4 lengths that day, and he set the pace that day. He got caught by Smile Happy, who just stalked him that day to get the job done. But this horse, he ran his heart out that day. He came home with a 106 buyer, which wasn't, which was very good, but not the best of his career. Best of his career was prior race in the New Orleans Classic at the Fairgrounds, a mile and 1/8, 25th of March, winning by 4 3/4 lengths from a tracking trip. Came home with that 109 buyer. He took off clear. That was a very exciting run there. And then prior to that, in the Razorback Handicap at Oakland, on mile 16th, 18th of February, he finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths. He was off and on the lead all throughout. He was drifting late. He probably needed the race there first off the bench. And then the Clark at Churchill, a mile and 1/8 on the 25th of November. He finished 2nd by 3/4 length. Proxy closed up from nowhere. But this horse, he ran his heart out on the front end there. And then won the Fiat at Keeneland at the end of October quite nicely there, coming home with a 102 buyer. He's coming here to Ellis where he didn't run half bad at all last season. He's training well at Churchill. He could definitely win here. Want to talk about the 3 horse also, Speed Bias for Luis Saez and Ron Moquette. Nearly won the Pimlico Special on the front end at Pimlico over the mile 3/16, but then Rattle and Roll closed up from nowhere to get the job done. But this horse, he ran his heart out that day. Cutting back at 16th mile should suit him well. On a speed favoring track, he'll probably be on the front end, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets away with it to win here today. 2 back in option 75 at Oakland. He finished 2nd by a half length. He got caught at the wire, but he ran his heart out that day fighting. And then prior to that, on the slot bet over the mile and 1/8 at Oakland, and he finished 2nd by 1/4 lengths again. He just couldn't get there late. He might need the race. It was his first in a little bit. But since breaking the main, he's really become a better horse, and he's been improving. Watch out from here, 12 to 1. We also have to talk about the the 4-horse rattle and roll. He's making his fourth start in about the last 8 weeks or so, it seems. He's a workhorse, and he won the Ben Alley at Keeneland, came back to win the Pimlico Special, closing up from nowhere, and won the Blame at Churchill last month quite nicely. So it would be kind of cool to make it 4 in a row. He's become a very cool horse. It looks like he wants to run forever. He could win at 4-1, and also Proxy could win also. You know, he won the New Orleans handicap, or excuse me, the Elkhorn handicap quite nicely, and then nearly won the Santa Antonio handicap. Was winner over Clark last year. He likes the longer trip also. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. And also, you know, talking about Stiletto Boy, he's run good race that could definitely win here today. Smile Happy, he's definitely run races good enough that Ali Sheba could win against these horses. Last Samurai, the Essex could win this race. The Razorback could win this race. Even Happy American, I think he's the longest shot on the board. If it was my odds, he would be 99-1. He could definitely win also, but it's a very wide off Ben Foster this year, so I think you want to go a little deep in this one. But to recap my selection for the 10th from Ellis, it is a Stephen Foster. Going to take the 6-horse West Will Power, 6-3-4-1 Super. I would use all of them in the Big Four, like I said, but at least keep it to these 4 I have in the superfecta, because any one of them can win. Tell you the truth, I'll probably do a super box here. Play for 10 cents, play for 10 cents, 4-horse super box, like 240, right? So play it there. But let's get to the 11th race now from Ellis, which is the nightcap on the program, the end of the pick 4. It is the Tepin Stakes. It's going for a $225,000 purse, race for 3-year-old fillies. We have a field of 9 horses going the distance of ground here of 1,600 meters or a mile on the Ellis turf course. My top selection, I'm going to go with the 2-horse Safin. I'm going to go 2-5-3-4 in the superfecta. 2-5-3-4 super, top selection 2-horse Safin. 3-0 filly by Warfront. Eddie Keneally trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Horseshoe Indy Handicap at Indiana, 1 mile on the 17th of May. And the horse won by a half a length. And coming from mid-pack, he was a little bit wide, but he had the turn of foot to win there. An all-around good race for him there, stepping up in stakes quality horses. Another step up in class shouldn't be a problem. I like his forwardly paced on this turf course. 2 back at Keeneland, a mile in mid-April, and allowance race 109,000. He finished 3rd by 3/4 in length that day. He was on the front end. He got caught late. Probably needed the race off the bench, but he didn't run half bad there. And then prior to that at Churchill, a mile and allowance race 126,000. He finished 3rd by 2 lengths. A little bit wide, but he was plodding along. Nothing bad about that run. I do think in the future she might want a little bit longer, but coming here with a good pace in front, I think she could get the job done at 5-1. I would use her. I think your second likeliest winner is the 5-horse. Zagira for Philip Bauer and Julian Leperoux. Most recently, an allowance race at Church over the mile on the 2nd of June. The horse won by 3.5 lengths, and from a tracking trip, she took off clear. First start of the 3-year-old. That was a very good, exciting run. She ran horribly in the Breeders' Cup before that, where she hit the gate and she was stupidly wide. And then the Alcibiades, she was running okay on dirt, but she still, I do think her turf efforts are a lot better. Stepping back to the green stuff again, second off the bench in stakes quality horses, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's use her in the pick 4. But to recap my selection for the 11th from Ellis, it is the Tepin Stakes. Going to take the 2-horse Safin. Give kudos to the 5-horse Zagira. 2-5-3-4 super. 2-5 to end off the multi-races. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.